My dudes.
Yeah?
Have we heard of a thing called scalp popping?
What the fuck?
So, in one of my cursed doom scrolls the other night when I couldn't sleep, I don't have a TikTok account because I downloaded it once and I stayed up till 4 a.m. and I thought this is going to be a problem for me, so I deleted it. But my Instagram page is essentially the TikTok For You page. And there is a trend at the moment called scalp popping on TikTok where people will like grab a handful of hair at the top of their skull and pull, and it pops like when you crack your knuckles.
What?
Oh,
So I was like, oh, what's this? And then the video that I saw was like, don't do this because it's pulling like a membrane under your scalp that like is attached to your skull, and if you pull it too hard, it will flood with blood and you can die.
Oh my God.
That genuinely makes me feel sick, and not a lot of things do that. What the actual fuck?
My stomach like curdled, but also all I've been able to think about, like an invasive thought, is I want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing
Well,
that I
no,
thought.
I'm
I was like,
getting
I could
that.
try that. I don't want to try that. I don't want to do that. No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Right?
So hard, like your scalp is right there.
Yeah, like it's like they grab like a big thread of hair, they wrap around their finger, and they just yank, and it goes,
Oh.
and it's just the thought of it like lifting and then filling, like that membrane filling with blood is so sick to me.
why would you visit this upon us? I am so bad at fighting intrusive thoughts. No. Oh, it's like when you are. This is when I recently, one of my mates has had a baby. She's like the first of my friends to have a baby, and it's very exciting, very cute. And you know how they have the soft spot at the top of their head
Yeah.
because the skull hasn't like all fused together for the birth, and you're not supposed to touch it. The whole time that I was supposed to be holding this baby, I'm just staring at its head like, don't fucking touch it. Don't fucking touch it. Don't touch it. Oh.
Pop that scalp.
No! Oh god, now I'm gonna want to pop a baby scalp. This is disgusting. Why are you doing this to me?
Welcome, listeners, to the Wyrd Sisters, a podcast about the blessed and bizarre and all the things you are happier not knowing about.
Like popping your fucking skull.
Grip it and rip it just like your skull. My name is Tay.
Oh god, I am the snail eye nipples flopped off your chest, Laura.
What?
I am the final nail in the coffin. La, it's me. I'm back.
It's so good to have you.
Last back.
Thank you for coming in. We've got a very apt topic this week because we are joined by La, since poor Lacey has fallen down some stairs and her spinal injury has decided, fuck you, you're not allowed to do anything now.
She took such a tumble.
Oh, poor Lacey. So please hold her in your hearts. Think of her. Think of lots of gross shit because you know she'll love that. Thank you so much, La, for coming and joining us.
Of course, I know how much you guys missed me. I'm here with some more disgusting things to tell you about.
Really
I
fucking
yearn for
excited
you
about
every
it.
day.
Exactly.
Please stop.
I'm going to explain what I am this week because it's not actually part of my story.
Yes, please.
I am another part of this that is apt for the medical theme that we are going with this week. I am actually going under a surgery on the 2nd of February. I'm getting a breast reduction, and I have been researching how the fuck they do it because it's so interesting, especially when you know that someone's going to do it to you. I have to have my nipples cut off so they can replace them, but they don't want them to die, so they have to like attach them by a tiny blood supply like antenna from a snail and then flop them off my chest and then basically like cut all around the rest of my breast and put it in a new position.
Huh?
They're going to give you those golden ratio, 45-55 nipples.
I hope so.
Oh. Gotta have those fucking museum-worthy, curated titties.
Designer titty. That is what I'm going to have after this. I hope. Anyway, touch fucking wood. If I end up with cursed tits because I went and jinxed myself for this podcast, I'm going to tell everyone about it. You guys are all going to have some cursed photos sent to you. It's going to be
Yes, please.
So you have something to look forward to either way.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
So we do have a topic. We have a theme, as you may have already understood from our weird segues. Segues. We're talking about weird medical junk. This is something that a listener asked for a while ago, and so it's not a specific topic. It's just cutting stuff up. What's gross about it? Tell us about it.
Just thought we'd have some like lighthearted fun this week. Just some old school gross shit. Why not?
That's an interesting way to put that, because some of the topics that I was looking at were not lighthearted, but the one I went with kind of is.
I say it's lighthearted. I just realised mine isn't very light.
Oh God, Kate, what have you done?
Well, let's just get straight into it.
I was going to say, you're picking us off. Tell us your thing.
Yes. So shout out to listener and all-round great human Rochelle for requesting this story. All complaints about vomiting can go directly to her. But please prepare for the most effective piece of pro-contraception propaganda you have ever heard.
Oh my God.
The osteotome, from the Latin words osteo, bone, and tomi, to cut, is a horrific amalgamation of a hand beater and a turkey carver. So the osteotome was a hand-cranked manual saw used in like early surgeries. It's invented by Bernard Hine in 1830. And this device was a breakthrough in medical science. It may sound a little bit familiar because the osteotome was the earliest model of the modern chainsaw.
What the actual...
Yes.
Ooh, okay, no, I didn't understand what you were saying at first, but the more you talk, the more I picture this thing.
All coming together.
So photos and all the good stuff on all of our socials, WyrdSistersPodcast.com. But when I say it's a mixture of a hand beater and a turkey carver, it is literally a hand beater and a turkey carver. It's like it's got a hand crank, and you crank, you grip it and rip it, and off it goes. Its most notable use was during childbirth.
Oh, don't you fucking do it.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah. Start talking.
Yeah. Now that everyone's genitals is like shriveled up in actual terror, I shall take you on this journey. So this is before the cesarean. Babies only got out one way. Only one way to go. And if your baby was too rotund or became breached upon exit, you were in trouble. And for those blissfully ignorant, when a baby is breached, it's coming out the wrong way.
Yeah, booty first.
Sideways, feet first, butt first, not in a pretzel. If it's not head first, you can have a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
The only solution was a symphysiotomy. Symphysiotomy. I did practice that. Symphysiotomy. To remove bone and cartilage from the pelvic area to allow room for the tiny bundle of joy to come through.
No.
Anesthetic? Never heard of her. So the origin of the chainsaw in surgery is a little iffy in the textbooks. So there was a couple of Scottish lads named John Aitken and James Jeffrey who invented a flexible saw for surgery around the 1780s. It was like a metal serrated chain with two handles that you pulled back and forth.
Oh, like one of those two-man saws.
Yeah, and this device sprang up around the same time that the symphysiotomy did.
Okay.
So if that was like before the hand-cranked one, they just had a two-handed saw they just pulled back and forth. Has anyone seen 127 Hours?
No.
Super ineffective.
I have, avoided that one on purpose, but I feel like I need to watch it.
So this story, honestly, how did we as a species survive long enough when these are the risks of childbirth? Like breaching, dying, just getting your bones cut open. Like...
You know why a lot of that is the case as well? The reason that we evolved to have births like ours was so that we could allow for the skull and the brain. Yeah, it's really, really interesting, like the way that we evolved with standing upright and walking with a pelvis versus being able to birth like a human. And that's why like the skull is like all in parts and stuff so that it's squeezed out of a person. Through the pelvis, which is very small considering like the fact that we stand upright. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, yeah. I have a question actually.
Yes.
When you say that they're taking bits of bone and cutting it, are they like taking chunks of bone out of them?
And how?
Yeah.
And do they put them back?
So there are two ways. There's the symphysiotomy, which is to remove bone and cartilage, and then there's like a pelviotomy, which is like they just cut the ligaments and the cartilage. So they essentially will cut and just push the pelvis bits aside. So they will just like rip you open, and then in other ways they will remove it, and then they'll stitch you back together. But this actually reminds me, when I was in year 12 health, there was only one boy in our class of like 20-something students. And one day that boy was absent. So my health teacher, she walks in, slams their books on the desk and goes, "Today we're going to talk about birthing." And she told us in a sentence I will never forget. She said, "When you have a baby, you can rip from one hole to the other."
Yep, from V to A.
Yep, and just have one gaping cloaca.
That's awful. That's awful.
So it's essentially the same thing. They do that. So they will, that's still a modern practice, is to cut the wall between the vaginal opening and the anus to make it bigger. But in this very spooky way, they just cut the bone. So they just went full from V to A.
Holy shit.
V to A.
Did you like walk after this? Like, were you just, that's it? Are you intended to live?
Well, that's the thing. They were like, this is like, was this a practice? Because it's just horrific. But these procedures aren't as archaic as they sound. So these procedures were still being performed on women as late as the 80s.
What the fuck?
What?
An estimated 1,500 women experienced this without consent in Ireland between the 40s and 80s.
Oh, yeah. What?
So this is where I said mine was not that big of a downer, but then it kind of is a bit of a downer.
Yeah, anytime anyone cuts a bit of me in part in any way without my consent upsets me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. So, in July of 2014, the UN Human Rights Committee went to Ireland, and they were like, "You guys got to investigate this bullshit because this ain't on." And an investigation ran, and that granted the possible compensation of about 40,000 and 100,000 pounds. So about 80 grand AUD to about 250 grand AUD, depending on the market, for these non-consensual procedures. Of the 1,500 supposed women that experienced this, 300 applied. This whole scheme ran for only 20 days, and many women couldn't access their medical records to prove their eligibility, and they got either just the bare minimum or nothing at all.
Oh my God.
That's
2 days. Yeah. So 2 days after the scheme closed, a massive number of records were discovered at Airmont Maternity Hospital in Ireland, which is a pretty big mecca for all of this shit. So there's an article in The Guardian where several women kind of recounted their stories, and all of these women did not give consent to the procedure. They were not briefed on this procedure beforehand, and were strained in stirrups or straps as it happened, which is horrendous.
Yeah, nightmare fucking material.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So they all had, so this is where you're can they walk? Well, they all had lifelong health issues due to these things. So one woman who was aliased as Mary, she suffered incontinence for the rest of her life, as well as a limp and severe pelvic arthritis and spinal problems. So they just went to town on her, and she obviously never recovered.
Yeah, no
another
shit.
women,
Fucking hell. Every time something happens, I have to relate it back to me so I can understand it, because I am just useless at being empathetic apparently. So because I dislocate my knees because my tendons and ligaments are stretchy and too long, and it's agonizing. But if you have your ligaments and tendons cut, which I'm assuming, like you mentioned earlier, that's part of this thing that they do, especially if you're fucking smashing open your pelvis, mine are just stretchy. Imagine them being severed. Holy fuck.
It's and then just imagine this procedure, no anesthetic. And then back in ye old times with that fucking hand cranked turkey gub.
Man, those women who survived that procedure are tough as shit.
Absolutely.
Holy
tough
fuck.
as nails. There's another woman who is aliased as Rita. She suffered so severely from PTSD that she endured a miscarriage of her second pregnancy.
Oh,
So
that's
quoted
really
as,
sad.
"I am sure it was just pure terror. I was so scared about going through childbirth again that she just
Oh my
miscarried."
fucking God.
Oh.
Like, that's some dark shit,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, that's brutal. Can
Yeah.
you imagine that? Like your mental state being so intensely upset that you physically like manifest a miscarriage. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's so
Your body's
sad.
like, nope, we're not going through this again.
No,
We
never
outie.
again.
Like, she was
Oh.
so scared that she lied during her 6-week post-op checkup because she was like, oh, to the doctor, no, I'm fine. Like, nothing to see here, because she didn't want to go back to the hospital
Oh.
because she thought they would do something to her again, which, you
Oh,
know
I'm
what,
surprised.
is fair.
Yeah.
They didn't brief her. They didn't
Definitely
tell her. They
understand
just
that.
did it.
That's a lot. That's intense.
Yeah. So I was doing a little bit more digging because, I was like, why was this happening in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? Like, why? And there was a alleged not spit, but a conflict between medical science and the strict Catholic situation that's going on in Ireland, and they were like, oh, cesareans aren't a thing because it's not natural, so the babies have to come out the natural way.
Oh, yeah.
So they were like, no cesareans for anyone.
Just
But
hack
we
them
can do
open
this.
a different way
Yeah.
instead.
Hey, go get the chainsaw.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, right?
Bone
'Cause
chainsaw.
in all the articles I read, they were like, recovering from an abdominal scar is far more comfortable than just from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre between your legs.
Oh my God.
Like, imagine.
No, I don't want to.
Horrendous.
No, I'm good,
No.
thank you. Oh, those poor women. Holy fucking shit.
Mhm. What else is pretty fucked is that many of them were put on display for medical students to watch.
What the fuck?
Oh,
Yeah, so one of the
violate every way you can.
yeah.
Why not?
I can't remember. I think it was Rita in her recount in that article where she said that she was restrained and she was on her back so she couldn't see what was happening, and then all these medical students came into the room, and then she said, you listeners know at home what they get when they tune into us, so gore warning. But she said that suddenly her left leg started to spasm, and she said it was pure agony because they just started cutting.
Oh my fucking
God.
The image of a leg spasming because it's being cut into is so fucked, and it's so sad.
Oh my Lord.
It's just this, and medical history as a rule, super fascinating. The human body is both so fragile and so resilient. You could scrape your knee and be a dirty little grot, get infected and you die. Or you could have your actual pelvis cut apart and a screaming life ripped from inside you and you survive.
Well, this was a great episode to do just weeks before I go in for surgery. Thank you, Tim.
Oh, I do apologize. You're not birthing anything. You're just getting these beautiful designer titty. You're fine.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No,
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes. And the kind of that being said, with the medical history, the kind of X walked so Y could run aspect of medical history kind of often overshadows the trauma and pain that many people endured, many of those people being marginalized groups. Medical science just experimenting on people who aren't cis het and white because why not?
The syphilis experiments of Tuskegee, I think it is. That's fucked up. It's a whole fucked up story.
I have no doubt that symphysiotomies still happen. Surely. In secret, without consent, they are definitely still happening somewhere in some awful part of the world where these people have no agency.
Fuck, of course it would be. Oh, that upsets me.
Yeah. So the success of Heinz osteotome, his little hand crank chainsaw, spread through the medical industry. Hey, if this thing is so effective at birth and babies, maybe it'll work in other areas. So apart from it being having horrible origins, the osteotome is now a very useful medical tool. Amputations became quicker, they became easier, had a higher survival rate. They were particularly successful at dealing with joints and cartilage. infection rates were lower. And it was just done quicker, because imagine like using that fucking 2-hand man saw back and forth over an arm, fucking James Franco style.
Have you heard of the 300% mortality rate of an amputation that happened in I think it was like the 1700s or 1800s?
300.
Oh, it's so good. Fuck. It's a very quick story, but basically there was a surgeon that was like, I am the fastest at amputation and I will show it like to everyone. So like obviously how they used to have a lot of back in 16, 17, 1800s had like amphitheater basically for medical students to watch things taking place. He did an amputation and he basically killed the patient, killed a person who was assisting, who was holding them down by cutting through their fingers, which went gangrenous, and then they died. And also he was doing it so quickly that he slipped and cut through the coat of a bystander, and the bystander was so horrified and thought that he'd been hit that he immediately dropped dead from a heart attack.
Oh, shit.
It's so interesting. I've forgotten all the details. I just always remember the 300% mortality rate and exactly how it happened. But Google it. It's so interesting.
That is so like sideshow wacky, like Sawbones snake oil style, like medical history. That is the thing. My story started off lighthearted, went to a dark place. That shit right there is the why I love medical history so much.
Yeah. And
just people being fucking idiots.
I know. And exactly like you mentioned, if you enjoy this, listen to Sawbones. It's one that Tay actually put me on ages and ages and ages ago.
Yes.
Very, very funny podcast. Very interesting.
Yes. Run by a actual doctor and her husband, who is my podcasting hero. The McElroy family. Love you so dearly.
They have very interesting voices to listen to. It's very sweet.
It's the West Virginian accent. It's very good. In conclusion, the osteotome was so good at cutting bone that some lumberjacks thought, hey, tree cutting by hand's getting pretty old. Let's try this.
Oh my God.
In the 1920s, the modern chainsaw was born. No longer just a hell device from our nightmares, but useful as well.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Alrighty, some sources. So I've got The Guardian. Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia's coming through with the sources lately.
Stop, say. Bless you, Mamma Mia.
Mm-hmm. The Principles of Midwifery by John Aiken. I found a scan of the whole book, and it's like a year-old book from like this 1790s, and it's like ancient, but it's all scanned. And when you flip it, it's really fun. I love the internet. Good old wiki. A blog post by Rain No on Core 77, which was very interesting. I will actually put that on the Facebook because it was a very fun read.
Yes, please.
Business Insider, Mental Floss, All That's Interesting, and Husqvarna.com.au.
Oh, excellent.
Wonderful.
Because the title of it has the word osteo in it, I kept imagining it as though it was like a giant bony, I don't know, saw of some kind, and it's a
like
horrifying
some
image.
Bloodborne Warhammer shit.
Exactly that.
It looks a little Bloodborne-y.
I definitely want to see photos of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm also very keen for those photos.
Yes. Witspodcast.com.
Natural plug spot. Well, as per usual, I started off really fucked up, and I started looking up medical torture.
Yes.
And I went through so many articles of and Wikipedia links, just horrifying myself with what we've done as a race to learn things about the human body and the human mind. But I decided to settle for something a little bit more lighthearted, at least for me. I'm just going to gross you out this week. I went with a little listicle of the worst and weirdest things found inside the human body.
Yes!
Oh, yes.
We're going on a treasure hunt.
We are. So my first little thing, a man in his mid-30s died unexpectedly, just dropped dead. During the autopsy, they discovered that dude's heart had calcified.
Oh.
Yeah. Half of it anyway. So in case you can't picture what this is, calcification is where calcium salts accumulate in body tissue. Normally this is what happens when we form bones. And there are diseases that do this to people where they just basically calcify parts of their body and make these strange shapes under the skin. It's very upsetting. But there's multiple reasons why it can happen to soft tissue like a heart. So it can be like genetic, from diabetes, smoking, kidney disease, elevated cholesterol. All the vices will probably cause something like this if you're not careful. In someone so young, though, this guy was only like mid to early 30s, is pretty much unheard of. And the fact that he actually lived so long with it, that bad, is insane. Because obviously your heart is a muscle that contracts and pumps blood around your entire fucking body, and his had turned in half to stone.
Oh,
Shit.
that's some fucking Tim Burton gothic shit.
I know, right? That's very Tim Burton. I can see a really, really silly little short story from him that looks exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a half calcified heart.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Isn't that what happened to Percy Shelley's heart after they found his body, or something along those lines?
Didn't she keep it? I thought she kept it.
I feel like it might have
didn't
been
know that it had
calcified at some
calcified.
point.
Oh, I did not know that.
That also
I
might
thought
be
she
very
got
wrong.
mummified.
Maybe mummified's the one.
Because didn't she carry it around as like
mummified,
Victorian morning jewelry?
Absolutely. She went all out.
That's some queen shit.
Right. I hope to be loved that much one day, that someone carries around my dead body part forever.
Essentially. It's like those goth kids that have too much PDA at like the shopping centre. Or they like one walks around with the other one on a collar.
Wearing blood vials.
Oh,
Yeah.
blood vials.
Locks of each other's hair and shit. I'm into it.
I love it. It's like, was it Angelina Jolie? And who was it that she had the vial of blood around her neck with?
Oh my God.
First husband, I think it was.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot his name. I forgot his name.
Phone in at home if you know.
Yeah, exactly. Message us, tell us, please help. Anyway, so number 1. Number 2. Have either of you heard of Ascaris?
No.
I'm probably pronouncing it really fucking wrong. Basically, it is a disease caused by a type of parasitic roundworm, and it is called an Ascaris infestation, or it's a type of intestinal worms that you can get.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Body
Wow,
friends.
I sound a really valley girl then. So it commonly affects children. Basically what happens is people consume food or drink that are contaminated with eggs of the roundworm. And they are usually found in the feces of someone already infected with a parasite. So please clean your hands. Please, 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 please wash under your nails. So the eggs hatch in the intestines, and the larvae burrow through the gut wall and migrate to the lungs via the blood.
I have heard of this.
It's super gross. So
yes.
There they break into the alveoli, which are the little parts of your lungs, and pass up the trachea, where they can be coughed up and swallowed all over again to continue the process forever and ever until you die.
I hate that so much. Oh my God, I hate that so fucking much.
It doesn't usually kill you. It's very rare. You kind of have to have something that already causes you to die. That it sort of compounds with. But a lot of people are infected with it. It happens to many, many people around the world. Basically, once the larvae pass through the stomach a second time and go into the intestine, they become adult worms. When the host dies, for any reason, the body cools down, and the worms figure that out and bail. They need a live host, so they exit en masse through every possible opening in the body. So a coroner can get a body that is just spewing hundreds of worms from the mouth, the nose, the eyes, the anus, everything.
Oh my God, it's like Mononoke when the poor spirit's running, but it's just all the worms moving in unison. Woo!
It's that, exactly that. And they can be big. They can be quite long.
Oh, I want to die. It's so gross.
Really, really, really gross. You can find photos online.
Absolutely not.
Coming back, Lar.
I'm thinking of leaving, actually.
No, you have to tell us gross shit.
I find you.
I actually have something that might relate to this, but we'll come back to that later.
Of course you do. I remember one of the early podcast episodes you did where you
maggot
had
cheese.
Yes, maggot cheese. I love it. Moving on to number 3. So, inside a dead woman's small intestine, the medical examiner found a tiny dead mouse.
Oh,
Lemmy winks.
Lemmy winks. It's fucked up, but actually kind of really sad. Apparently, this isn't uncommon. It's just not usually a mouse. It's mental illness and very commonly victims of extreme abuse do frequently have a compulsion to introduce foreign objects into their genitals, which is really sad. So that may be why this happened. If it's not that reason, I have no fucking idea. No idea how this tiny dead mouse got inside this woman's small intestine. It had definitely been introduced from the other end.
Oh.
Well, was it cold outside?
I don't know, and there's definitely a possibility for it. Moving on. Number 4. So, an elderly woman with a very large protruding abdominal mass admitted into an ER. When they opened the mass, which was extremely large, they discovered a long dead mummified fetus.
Yes! Oh!
It's fucked up.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. So,
was it hers or was it her twin?
No, it was hers. This
God.
is something that does happen, not like frequently, but it's not unknown. So basically the baby was a result of an ectopic pregnancy, which is a complication where the embryo attaches to the outside of the uterus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's pretty fucked.
It's not, ectopic pregnancies are not particularly uncommon. It does happen. And some people can actually have a live birth with an ectopic pregnancy. Like they can deliver, they can do everything. Basically, in this case, her body had encapsulated the alien tissue completely and left the mother alive. Over the years, the dead fetus had slowly eroded her anterior abdominal wall to the point that it finally did decide to start giving her symptoms and pain to get something done about it. The smell when they opened it,
oh my god, the smell,
horrific. Yeah, it's kind of like opening a tomb. The patient survived, so she was fine, but there had been a woman in China who carried her deceased child for 60 years, and there had been an Indian woman who carried just the skeleton of her baby for 38 years. The soft tissue had been reabsorbed by her body and left a tiny skeleton inside a sack.
Oh,
that's so goth. Oh my god,
it's
fucking horrible. It's so goth. It's womb to tomb.
Yep, exactly. You are the tomb.
Oh, that's pretty metal.
The womb is the tomb. Number 5. So a patient went to a dentist for a tooth extraction. She was an elderly woman who complained of severe long-term pain in a back molar. It was extracted, placed on the tray. Nothing unusual about that. Until a tiny grub crawled out. It had been there for up to maybe longer than 6 months. When the dentist looked in her mouth at the place left behind by the tooth, the wall of the gum had been eaten away, and he theorized that the patient had consumed food with an egg in it, just like people did when they get those intestinal worms we talked about, which had lodged in or around the tooth and hatched, and the larvae lived off food debris and necrotic membrane from around the tooth that lived in the periodontal region. Basically, it tunneled around the tooth as it slowly enlarged the area by eating away at it.
I'm never
This is
eating
why
again.
you floss your teeth. Oh my god. So this is the kind of shit that I'll read on Reddit at 3 a.m. and I will hyperfixate on the thought of having an egg in my teeth for 6 months.
Yep. A lot of this did come from Reddit, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's like that lady, like this shit just, the chances of it happening 1 in a million, but they're not 0.
It's not 0.
It's like that woman who like
enough.
A bug flew in her eye, and that bug happened to be pregnant, and then the egg got in her eye, and they ate it from the inside out.
That's fucked up. The amount of times, the amount of bugs that I came across when I was researching this, and videos of people getting their ear flushed and a spider crawling out and shit like that.
Oh, I want to die when that happens so badly.
I get really itchy ears, and it really upsets me. I want to get a nice eco-friendly ear cleany thingy, because apparently they're better than cotton tips, which are awful for you. Don't use them. But yeah, it upset me a lot because I frequently get itchy ears.
Yeah.
Number 6. A skull cage. So,
what?
Yeah, this is wild. So during a routine embalming, an older woman died of natural death. But during the process of her embalming, the mortician discovered that the corpse was missing a large section of skull, like the size of a baseball large, like fucking big.
Ooh.
Instead of skull, pieces of her ribs had been wired together and bolted across the skull hole to form a shield for the brain within. Yeah. So a
That's
previous...
some Warhammer shit.
Yeah, isn't it? Fucking hell. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I could make this.
Yeah.
So a previous injury had caused brain swelling, and it is a normal part of like treating this kind of injury for a section of the skull to be removed to allow for the swelling to go down without compressing against the skull, or the brain itself compressing against the skull, or for the brain to get bruised. Usually they reattach the skull, and to keep the bone alive, because they have to take it out, they, like literally a skull cap, they attach it to the ribs and just keep it alive by having the blood supply and everything just hanging out there. But obviously this doesn't always work, and sometimes that little bit of bone dies, and then they have no skull left to cover up the big fucking hole in your head, which is apparently the case for this patient. So basically they just used the ribs. They just cut a section of ribs up, split them in half, and sewed them back over the top of the hole.
That
It's
is pretty fucking cool, actually.
Isn't it?
It's fucking improvise, adapt, overcome bullshit.
I know. And she may have been able to do then the Marilyn Manson sing, autofellatio. Yeah, so that's cool. Now number 7. So an Australian man, Dylan Maxwell, went traveling around Indonesia. Tay, this will be something you feel very deeply, I hope.
Oh no!
And felt an itching sensation across his stomach.
Oh no.
He'd had his appendix taken out years before, and there was a small scar on his stomach right near his navel. Over the course of 3 days, a long red line appeared up his stomach from the scar on his navel, travelling up the torso almost to his nipple.
Oh no.
When doctors investigated a week later, they pulled a tropical spider from his stomach, still alive.
I hate it.
Oh my god.
I didn't like
So-
any of it.
So tropical. So when I think tropical, so this is the thing about Indonesia and any kind of hot, humid, tropical climate, shit grows big. Shit is so big. There were snails on the like tile of the villa I was living in, as big as an iPhone 4, as big from finger to wrist in length,
God.
like African snail big. And there was one night where I saw one just making its way from one end of the garden to the other with 2 other snails on its back. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good.
That's so cute, though. Oh my god, that's
It's really cute. It was really cute.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Are
Apparently
there
this is
pictures
not...
of the spider?
Oh, no. So this is the thing. I snoped it. Apparently this may not be true, but there are photos on all the articles that I found of supposedly Dylan's stomach, which had the little scar and the big red line all the way up to his nipple. But who knows? It could be something completely different. But I thought this was really gross and it upset me, and I wanted to tell you about it.
Yes,
You're right.
please. and
You're
thank
right to do so.
The idea of something getting in through a scar. Like, did you
Yeah.
know that the navel is still technically a way into the body cavity?
Yeah.
What?
If you press on it really hard, you can feel it like in your bladder.
Yep. You can get in through that way. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. It makes me think of those old old tortures where they would put rats in a tin on you and then heat the tin up so they would eat into you.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It's like that
yeah.
scene in The Matrix where they put the little robot prawn in Keanu Reeves' tummy.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. Well, moving on. That's a great jumping off point for an eel.
I
Well,
love eels. Yeah.
Oh, upsetting. So, there have been cases where bugs and creatures and things have mistakenly found their way into people. This was not one of those times. This was purposefully inserted into his anus.
Oh,
that sounds
God.
about right.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I'm one of those. I have seen the eel girl video, the porn video online, the octopus one, the crab one. Seen them all.
You'll find them on the
Haven't
Facebook
seen
page.
them. Bless your sweet brain. Don't go looking. It's upsetting. It's gross. He decided to put a live eel in there after having seen the porn movie Eel Girl. and it ended up eating through his colon and tearing into his large intestine because it didn't like being in there because it's an eel.
Ask for consent, dog. Some old boy shit.
This is upsetting. Don't do this to animals. Don't fucking do this. Like,
No.
don't
introduce animals into your
sex life. Yeah, look, there's a lot of kinks that if you're not hurting anyone, go nuts. But don't put.
I'm going to kink shame you if you.
Please
no.
don't do it.
All of you kink shaming.
Clop in hell. So yeah, since it had nowhere else to go, it ate its way in, it burrowed its way in, it got stuck. They did remove it from him. I don't know if it was still alive. I assume no. It's not an optimal environment for an eel. However, dude survived. Pretty serious internal bleeding though, naturally.
Good.
Yeah, some damage.
Yeah, it's not a good time. So that was number 7. I thought number 8, I believe. I thought now we would just have some quick fire direct quotes from a BuzzFeed article that I found because no one could put it better than a BuzzFeed writer, obviously. One night I had a prisoner who jammed a piece of Velcro into his penis where it got stuck and things were starting to swell. Apparently this was his 3rd hospitalization for this.
3rd?
Stop it! I'm going to kink shame everyone. Stop it.
Don't put things inside yourself that were not made for it, please.
Body safe toys only.
Yeah,
there's
medical
a
grade silicone. Don't put things inside you that aren't meant to be there. Continuing that trend, a woman came in complaining of a pain in her uterus. She eventually admitted that a few months ago she and her boyfriend wanted to have sex but didn't have any contraceptives. So they improvised. They used a fingerling potato.
What?
By the time she came into the clinic, it had taken root in her uterus and had actually sprouted a leaf that could be seen at her cervix.
Oh, that's really cute.
Oh, it's fucked up.
But also, fingerling potato is not big.
Also, how did you think that was going to fucking stop any sperm at all? I can get a sponge. I can understand people thinking a tampon will help. A potato? It doesn't even have any absorbent properties. No.
And also, just get it out after you're done.
Yeah, why would you leave it in there?
Why
you
couldn't find it afterwards? Like, just use a condom. Or just wait. Just jack each other off. Like, come on, you don't need to put it in. There's always also God's way.
Put it in your butt.
Put it in the butt. It's the loophole, the poop hole loophole. Okay, I didn't think I'd ever say those words. All right. Anyway, and last but not least, my first night as an ER tech, a guy came waddling in and wouldn't initially tell us what happened. Once we got him back, he told us that he had slipped while lounging by the pool and there was an entire pool noodle shoved about 7 inches up his rectum.
Wait.
7 inches?
Wait. So did he cut it?
That's what I want to know. Like, it can't have been.
Because the pool noodle's probably 1.5 meters long.
I know, exactly. So you can't, otherwise you would have seen it. Otherwise he had it down his pant leg.
Also, it's like the width of probably a can of soup.
Oh, I reckon, more almost. I recently was lounging on one, not inside me, just on it, at my parents' place. In one of those little net things, you know how you have a net baggie that you can put around him.
Yeah.
It's a good time. So I can safely say that it is definitely minimum like a vodka bottle thickness.
Yeah, and it's not tapered. It's just straight thick.
Yep, it's not intended to go inside anything. It is just a sawn off end.
Christ.
That's some effort, some solid effort to
just there
get
had to
that
be
inside
something
you.
else.
The post.
I went to a sex shop the other day. There are toys bigger than my forearm. You don't need a pool noodle.
There's just the post-nut clarity is definitely a thing because people go fucking stupid when they want to get off. I just put a whole fucking pool noodle up my ass. And then imagine the clarity after him being, shouldn't have done that. What about the guy with the Velcro 3 times?
Was it always
He has
Velcro?
no post-nut clarity.
Oh.
Pre-nut stupid all the time.
Dude. Fucking hell. Like, I know sounding's a thing where you get like
Yeah.
something thin and you put it down your urethra if you're a dude and you jack off with it in there. There's things made
sounding
for
is.
it, so I guess it must be okay.
Oh god, it doesn't sound
But
safe.
Velcro,
I
like,
want to die. I want to die.
you
Oh,
know it's gonna tear you up inside. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be.
grip it and rip it. All right,
That's just
that
has to be the episode title. Grip it and rip it.
done?
Yeah, great, love it.
Medical mysteries. Grip it and rip it.
Thanks for listening to my upsetting just flood. Here are my sources. Wikipedia, naturally, as per usual. There's a website called George Takei, Work with the Dead, Weirdest Things, A Dignified Way. Weird title for an article, but go there. Thepregnancyzone.com, Daily Motion. Yep. Dailymotion.com, specifically Tomo News US. DidYouKnowFacts.com, NBCNews.com, TheRichest.com, and BuzzFeed.com all had excellent articles, a really fun time, and as per listeners' requests, we will put out sources in the show notes from now on, and maybe go back and do them as well. I don't know, it depends on how lazy we are. So you can find all these articles yourself and read them for your own entertainment.
Homework for
Yay.
you all. Further reading. Extra credit. It'll be on the test.
So that leaves one.
So, here we are. Here
Ooh.
we are again.
Ooh.
So, The Replacements. It was a great TV show, but today I'm talking about medical replacements for when you don't have what you think you really need, but you can make do with something else.
Oh, okay.
And maybe you might find that the thing that you're working with is a little bit better than what you thought you needed. My first one is short and sweet. It calls back to, I think it was my first episode where I talked about leeches for like 20 minutes straight.
I had a lot of my friends and family tell me that they fucking hated you for that, so well done.
Oh, wow.
Also one of our most popular episodes.
Oh, good. And they'll love this one. So, yeah, go back and brush up on that because I'm not going to go over all the details about leeches again. But, they were well known as their role in medical tools. They're still kind of useful today. And, back in the 1800s, maybe you left your leech box in your other pants and you decide, okay, what can I do with this? Oh, I'll go for the artificial leech, which was invented in the 1800s. It's basically a syringe designed to draw blood from the patient, but it's like you need as much blood as you can from it because you're supposed to be draining the area. And so how it works is instead of a single little needle, like a regular syringe, it's several large ones designed to make your blood super accessible. So you insert it into the area you desired to render bloodless. And though I couldn't clarify this detail about this earliest model because it's still in use today, but this is the earlier model I'm talking about. I believe the blades rotate as the cylinder part of the device collects the blood.
What the actual fuck?
So raises the question,
Basically putting a blender on your skin.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not that fast because, it's the 1800s. But,
hand crank.
Yeah,
a little bit of a hand crank.
Can you imagine your forearms after doing that all day?
Man.
So buff. What's your secret? Do you work out? No, I
just hand crank and
hand cranking. So right.
So, while oh yeah, hold on. I'm reading the wrong part of my notes. It can be best described, I think, through the title of a 2001 article. Actually, it's by Jonathan Beard in New Scientist. I'm not sure if this is a journal. Yeah, New Scientist journal. It's called "Artificial Leech Can Suck Blood Forever," which is great.
I don't have enough blood for you to suck forever, but okay.
And all leeches are good for medicinal use, and they're still in use. And I cannot stress that is all they're good for. The artificial leech, when it was invented, wait, hold on. I am not good at writing. I should have worked harder in my.
We go to uni.
Let me on that.
For writing.
So this is it's a more inexhaustible tool with less leech-related complications, and I refer again to my earlier episode. And of course they've updated it. But
leech-related complications would be a great band name, by the way. Just saying.
Oh shit, true. Someone write that down. Yeah, I think I'd go for the leech back when it was the 1800s thing, because leeches are like way easier on the veins, and this thing looks like it'll probably just mince them.
Yeah, that's all I was thinking of the whole time. Because, like, I don't know, I think I am very dumb. I didn't realize that blood isn't just, like, hanging around in your fucking body just in general. It's, like, contained to the veins and arteries. I'm very dumb. So I was just like, oh, so if you, like, try to draw blood, or, like, if you're trying to inject something into someone, into a part of you that isn't a vein or artery, it's not going to get blood, or yeah, I don't know how to explain how stupid I am.
No, well, when we've grown up on gory horror movies and skinning our knees, and suddenly like all the blood runs out, like that's a fair
It's just
assumption.
in there.
Yeah, I just thought it was hanging out like you're a giant meat sack just full of blood,
And
which
your
you
skeleton
are.
is wet.
Yeah, it's just that's what I thought, but it's not. It's very specifically contained to your veins and arteries, apparently, which is super interesting to me. So the first thing I thought when you were like, yeah, you just fucking shove a bunch of needles into an area, I was like, but some of them aren't going to be sucking any blood out, are they? They're just going to
Yeah,
be...
no. I'm pretty sure they don't work as like a needle does. They just work to pierce it, and then you twist so that it all just comes out at once, and then you suck it up. So they don't have like a cylinder on the inside.
Like those things that they used to use for bloodletting back in the old days that were just like basically a bunch of razors that you drew across the skin.
Yeah, the scarificator. I came across that so much while I was looking at this. It's terrible.
That upsets me a lot.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
For telling me about that.
So that's an introduction back into me and my bugly ways. And I think that that's a good segue into this, also a good reference to what we were talking about before with your wonderful discussion about roundworms. So here's an article from a journal, the Medical and Surgical Reporter. I think I forgot to put the date down, but I'm pretty sure it's from the 1800s. Quote, imagine yourself the satisfaction with which a man could thus sit and fish in his own room without even the accompanying tub of water, the patience and complacency with which, after waiting from 6 to 12 hours for a bite, he could then play his prisoner some hours more before landing him, unquote. And now, that doesn't super duper make sense until you hear a little bit more about it, but can you guess what I'm getting at here?
Oh no. Is he going to just sit with a saucer of milk over in his open mouth to get the worm out?
Oh, close. Very, very close. That's it's actually the tapeworm trap.
What? No. What the fuck? Okay.
Yes.
So, kind of like the roundworm, if you don't know what a tapeworm is, they live in your digestive system. If you ingest undercooked meat or contaminated water, there's a few different types. It's also possible for some to migrate out of the digestive system into other major organs like the lungs and muscle, and, like the lungs. You can also, pretty sure you have the heart, the liver. I'm not just naming things, I have these written down. But they can pretty much get
naming the organs,
I've got to make the hour mark. But basically that's called a larval cyst, and it will really fuck you up. So that's exciting. So you want to get rid of those as soon as you can. This thing was invented by Dr. Alpheus Myers, and I love the name Alpheus. It was designed in an attempt to steer away from the usual chemical treatments for such conditions and more kind of ways towards, he was really into the eclectic medicine and herbal stuff. He'd be super into essential oils if you were around today.
Ooh.
And so here's how it would work. The patient would swallow the trap, baited with a small piece of cheese to entice the worm, which I'm sure is great, lovely, definitely works. The worm would make its way up into the stomach, and again, quoting the Medical Surgical Reporter, but different article this time, it would greedily seize the cheese, be caught in the trap, and easily pulled out. So this is fucking stupid.
Fucked up. That's upsetting.
It definitely didn't work. There's a diagram. There's a diagram. Actually, we're gonna have to put that on the Instagram because it's the fucking worst thing I've ever seen.
Please.
Thank you. Yep, I'm gonna need that because I just blanked out and I can't remember what you just said because I was so upset by it.
Good. We're making good progress here. The idea was ridiculed immensely. There was a fake patent put in by someone called J. Gotham. It was it was sarcastically promoted by comparing it to other massive medical failures and atrocities. It's a selling point. It's amazing. And I actually want to bring in one of my sources, actually, because I was actually halfway through this book when you guys asked me to do the episode. It's called The Mystery of the Exploding Teeth and Other Curiosities from the History of Medicine. So this
sounds
and my
amazing.
next one, it's
exploding teeth because they're full of bugs.
It's by Thomas Morris, and he has a website, so you can like access that and go see all that shit. But I'm not done. We're going on to something else now. And this is also something from this book, which actually also links back to both of your stories, because it's the 1700s. We're in Northern Ireland, and there's a woman, Sarah, who is looking pretty pregnant. But there's a problem. There's this swelling, actually, quote, swelling in her navel about the bigness of a goose egg, unquote.
Okay.
Goose eggs are
bigness.
big.
The bigness of a goose egg. Huh.
Apparently, she was looked at by a few physicians and midwives and such before deciding to do what she does next, who all concluded that basically there's nothing they can do and it's going to kill her. And so she decides it's time to call in the replacement, a butcher. She calls for the butcher, Turlo O'Neill. And I love the name Turlo. I'm really happy with the names that I found this week. Mm-hmm. He rolls up and finds her in a bad condition, but still alive. And by now, this swelling thing has burst and let out its secretions, leaving a hole.
Oh, she has a little armpit friend on her tummy.
Oh,
a
little abscess.
Now, this is actually a bit similar to Laura's, which is, it's a bit, I'll keep going anyway. But so this next part is a bit confusing because of the phrasing from the ye old times, which, as far as I understand, through this hole, there is the arm or elbow of a stillborn baby. And it hangs out of this hole for a while before she decides that she has to cut it off.
What the fuck?
And this is all before the butcher gets here.
Oh, I have a lot of problems with this.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So, butcher's here.
The hands
This is the state that the butcher arrives to work with, and he's naturally a bit freaked out because he is not a doctor. And he takes a nap before getting to work.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I'd take a look at that. I think that was a nice way of saying he fainted when he fucking saw a baby's arm sticking out of her stomach.
Oh, it's cut off at this point, actually.
Oh, that's even worse. You can see a tiny shoulder and a little.
There's a nubbin.
A nubbin, exactly. Imagine you're this woman having been pretty much confirmed dead by the doctors at this point, having to cut off the arm of your stillborn. This guy shows up and he's just like, "Oh fuck, this is heavy." He just goes to bed.
Yeah, this is bad. Let's not do this.
Something for another day. So they give her some alcohol because anesthetic doesn't exist till the next century. Turlo, the butcher, my guy, carves a big hole in her, described as about the size of a hat.
Just a hat.
I know many different sizes of hats, but okay.
So he can pry the dead baby out, and it's a success. The baby's out. She's still alive. And, it's good. But now is a good time to address the fact that Sarah had been pregnant before, but it was declared a phantom pregnancy because during her labor, her contractions just stopped and her belly deswelled over time. So it's like, it's all in your head. It's a phantom pregnancy. So back to her current jam, the butcher can see through this big hole in her where the most recent baby used to be, and he can see something black.
Oh no.
So he reaches in and he starts to unpack her like a suitcase.
Oh no.
The black is pieces of rotten flesh accompanied by the skeleton of a baby.
Oh my God.
Back to where Laura was with hers, the one from her phantom pregnancy. So she was pregnant, and it just cancelled itself, and she carried it around for I don't know. Actually, I probably should have looked that up. A long time.
So this episode,
shit.
The subtitle is Grip It and Rip It. The subtitle is Use Birth Control.
But not Kip for potatoes.
Yeah, don't fuck with a potato.
Yeah, no. Yeah, don't fucking put fingerling potatoes inside yourself. Please don't put many vegetables inside yourself that you intend to leave there.
Yeah, it's not wise. I'll be honest though, if I had like one of those kipfler potatoes that had actually sprouted, I'd probably plant it, see where it goes.
It's very beautiful.
Like it's sprouted inside you. It's a sign. Grow some more potatoes.
How fertile she must be that a potato sprouted a leaf.
So,
I don't know what to say to either of you right now. I'm sorry.
So Turlo, the butcher man, he got most of them on his own, but over the next few months, more bones are coming out through the cut hole and the birth canal. So this hole in her staying open, and stuff falling out of her too.
Shocked that she's alive.
I know, right? There's a description from this one guy who came to visit her. I think it's about the hole a little along the line. He says, I examined the rupture and I can put a finger pretty way up into the body. Which I hate.
Oh, that upsets me. Oh, I don't like any of it. Fucking hell.
Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah. But we got the butcher as a replacement. Otherwise, she would have just straight up died.
You could always use Carpenter. Fuck it. Why not?
Yeah. Just, get a hat-size hole in there.
Anyone with a knife.
Yeah, and so she had this big old hole in her, and she had to be sent to the city, I think. So hopefully she survived that, but she definitely survived this, which it's impressive for the 1700s.
Thanks for sharing that awful fucking story with us.
You're so welcome. So that
I loved it.
That and the tapeworm trap I got from that book. Everyone should read it. It's fucking disgusting. I also New Scientist, Wikipedia, WebMD. Those are my sources. And don't eat raw meat or get pregnant.
No more babies for anyone. We've decided.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Really fucking not.
Oh god, I'm supposed to eat after this. I don't like.
Dry crackers with water. That's safe.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever I'm eating, I'm cooking it for 7 years.
Extra well done, please.
I really can't believe we got sent away with different assignments to do with medicine, and both came back with mummified babies. Then, two more.
It's meant to be.
I think it's just proof of what horrifies all three of us more than anything else. Childbirth. Oh, Lord, I don't feel good.
Thank you for coming back, La. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We appreciate you, if not the horrible things you tell us.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
I fucking bet you did.
And if anyone at home is feeling a bit queasy, you can go to wyrdsistspodcast.com for all our socials to get some visual eye candy for all the horrible stories you've just listened to. Again, thank you to La for coming back on again, and send all your love to Lacey. We hope she gets a speedy recovery.
Yeah, wishing her well, missing her very much.
Mm-hmm. If you like us, please leave us a rating or follow us on Facebook. We love the validation and we love you. And enjoy all of that nightmare fuel.
Yeah, have a great time. Think about bugs in your eyes and your penis and just everywhere else. Love you all very much. Bye.
Bye.